I would like to talk about is wisdom. A very interesting quote by T.S. Eliot. Where is the life we have lost in living? Where is the wisdom we have lost in knowledge? Where is the knowledge we have lost in information? Very deep quote if you reflect upon it. Yeah. Now, of course, in the book, I have a chapter which says, okay, data-driven decision making. Yeah. And I've been talking about Hippo and all of that. But there's also a reality. Does data-driven decision making always lead to better decisions? Is that the case? Why do you say so?
Because it might go wrong as well.
Of course, anything can go wrong, but it's interesting, we had the Silicon Valley Bank disaster early last year, isn't it? It was not an ethical failure. It was really poor decision making. Nobody was making money, unlike Barings or Lehman Brothers or some of those disasters. It was pure decision making. And you would wonder that, such a sophisticated bank, with all possible highly paid analysts and blah, 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 how do you go wrong? And there is, when the question of wisdom comes in. Wisdom is the ability to see things deeply, is the ability to see patterns. I see it all the time. I see very bright people who look at 5 data points and they think they have the answer, without realizing that it's only 5 data points. It's helpful, but it's only 5 data points. You have not seen the 45 other. Yeah? Wisdom. And one of my big concerns, and I talk about it a lot in the book, and it's something I want you to understand, is that in this digital age, there's a lot of positive, but we are at the risk of losing wisdom. Because wisdom requires patience. Wisdom requires depth. Wisdom requires time. And when we are the Twitter generation, where we don't even have the time to read. Yeah. One of the reasons, in my short trip, I'm spending 3 hours is because I wanted to at least get you to, at least give you some hooks into the book. Because I realized that in my own company, with my own book, hardly a few people are reading it. Yes or no? Am I wrong? I'm wrong or right? And it's also the big reason is that people have stopped reading. Yes? Twitter is enough, no? Or Snapchat or something, no? Very, very instantaneous, no? Yes or no? Yeah? And we feel satiated. You know the meaning of satiated? We feel full with all of that. But actually we're not processing, isn't it? And if you don't process at all, how will wisdom happen? And that's a very big risk in the digital age and AI age, where superficially we have folks who are very data diligent or data literate, but actually have very little wisdom. Because they haven't given themselves time. They haven't given themselves time to process. Yeah. So it's something very important I wanted to really, really share here. And there is, of course, I won't go into the details of it, but from data you get to information, you get to knowledge. Yeah. And from knowledge you get to wisdom. Yeah. And then wisdom allows you to sift data in a better fashion. Ask questions, that upfront, the first thing we talked about, building trees, no? Typically it is done with a very experienced person. It's not a mechanical process. Because you can build trees in so many different ways. Yeah? You need some experience and wisdom there. Yeah? So wisdom feeds back into data. There is also a corollary to wisdom, which is gut instinct, about which we don't know very well. Yeah? A lot of people say, I trust my gut. Hey, Baba, if everybody is trusting their gut, then baat hi kya hai? Isn't it? Yeah? Very important concept. And maybe just some simple things on how do you build wisdom. I think the starting point is being humble. For something to come in, there is this saying that wo ghada thoda khali hona chahiye, isn't it? Agar mera ghada already bhara hua hai, the pitcher is full of water, how can anything come in? Can it come in? I already know everything here. isn't it? Starting point being humble, so something can come in, then seek diverse experiences. Yeah? Diverse experiences. We talked about the triangulation. Remember the story, stool, at least 3 legs. Seek different inputs. Recognize patterns. Very, very, very important skill. All my young colleagues here, super critical skill. Not just for my young colleagues. It's a super critical skill. From your experiences, how do you recognize patterns? Then you reflect. You reflect on that. What do these patterns mean? Yeah? And finally, for it to sink in, you teach. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. I teach and therefore I learn. Yeah? There is also a corollary of that. I want to learn and therefore I write. Yeah? Do you think I wrote the book because I knew? Or I wrote the book because I wanted to learn? Isn't it? I knew, it's not that I knew something. If you know nothing, then it's very difficult to write also. Yeah, I definitely knew something. But it has been a beautiful process of learning for me. Yeah? And finally, I'm consolidating that process of learning by teaching. Because every time I stand up and I teach, I share, I learn more. And the patterns get sharper. You see what I'm talking about? Very important concept. Again, one of the key things you should take away from this conversation.